Hi guys, welcome to the City in Peril playthrough. Today we'll be playing a game of City in Peril. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to talk about the components that come in this game. Let's begin with the box. Here we have this artwork done by our artist Shiro De Rosso. Very beautiful artwork. The box itself is not a finalized version, so don't judge it based on the huge thickness of this box. This is just a prototype. So that's the box. Let's move on to the board itself. This is the board. It's 11 inch by 11 inches. It's a 6 by 6 grid, and what that means is that there are 6 of these intersections. In between the intersections we have these buildings, and the buildings represent the corners. Now the buildings are not part of the game itself. They're there for your visual design amusement, and they are to represent the corners of our city. And as you can see, the city is having quite a rough day. Now, if you look at each individual square, you'll see obstacles. These obstacles are the spaces themselves of the 6 by 6 grid. So when you're looking at it, this is the first space, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So you count them based on the obstacles, not the buildings themselves. Every player gets to start in the top left corner, and the top left corner is designated by these little lights. These lights are the base. So as you can see here, this would be the red player's base. Each player gets one of these standees. These are not the final versions of the standees. These are the demo version that we'll be playing with. We'll let you guys know what the final versions look like. So this red player will be standing here in the top left corner as designated by the red base. Now, player green will have a completely different perspective. They'll be looking at the board like this. The green base is here, and they'll be starting up here in the top left corner. So there are 4 standees, as you can see. This is green, this is red. We have also yellow and blue. So you can play this game from 2 to 4 players. One-on-one works up to 4. The game is designed for up to 4 players. Now, along with the board and the standees, we have the cards. We have 52 cards in the game, as you can see here. There's 13 unique powers, and you get 4 copies of each of the 13 unique powers. The powers are shuffled and are used in different combinations. So as you progress through the game, you'll get various different combinations that will pop out. And you'll need to use your own strategies and tactics to figure out which set of powers you want to use. More on this as we actually progress and play in the game. The game also comes with a pair of dice. The dice represents, the red dice represents the rows, and the blue dice represents columns. We did that intentionally, row for red. So if you were to roll the die and say 1, 4, this would be the first row, and over here would be the 4th column. The game also comes with 100 punch-outs. These are the actual civilians that live in the City of Peril. This civilian is the baby. We also have the little boy, as you can see here. We have the girl. We have the adult male. And we have my personal favorite, the grandma. Now, these civilians will spawn on the board as you progress through the game. And the object of the game is to save as many of these civilians as you can, because you are trying to prove that you are a better superhero than everyone else playing the game. Now with that said, shall we actually play some turns of City in Peril? Alright guys, so this is the initial setup. As you can see, we've laid out the babies in the inner 4x4 square. So the first 16 babies start off on the board in the 4x4. Every player begins in the top left corner of the base. So this is just like reading a book. You start in the left corner and you progress down to the down right corner. So the first person, yellow, is starting here. As you can see, there's a yellow base and a yellow standee to mark the top left corner. You can only move forward as your default motion. So forward means down or right. So for our little angel here, she can only progress right or down from her starting position. Now, player red over here has a different perspective. So for him, this is his view of the game. Again, for him, he is in the top left corner, but to yellow, he looks like he's in the bottom right corner. So as you progress in the game, you'll be moving from opposite diagonals. And if you're doing a four-person game, you'll also have a blue here and a green here. Now, we've also laid out the cards, as you can see here, into the power pool. We have 5 pairs. When you're selecting a pair of powers, you have to select a specific pair as they're laid out. For example, this is a pair, this is a pair, this is a pair, this is a pair, and this is a pair. So you can have one of the 5 pairs. You can't mix and match as you choose. Now, the first wave is the babies. So we will begin by spawning babies. Babies are spawned one at a time. There's 19 babies to begin in the game. So the first 16 start out at the beginning of the game, and then there's 3 left. So in the first 3 turns, you spawn 1 baby. After that, starting in the 4th turn, whether it's a 2-person game, 3 or 4-person game, whatever, you will then move on to the little boys, and the little boys are then spawned 2 at a time. The first thing we do is we want to roll the dice. So we rolled a 3-1. Now, the rows are represented by the red die, and the blue represents columns. So this is the 3rd row, 1st column. So the first thing you want to do is descend the rows. So these are the rows. So 1st row, 2nd row, 3rd row, and this is also the 1st column. So your baby has now been spawned. Now it is the 2nd phase of your turn, which is to pick a pair of powers. So here are your 5 options. So player red has to decide between which of the 5 options he likes the most. We have 3 different categories for powers. We have obstacle powers, as signified by this black side. So all of these are obstacle powers. Then we have grabbing powers. They are signified by the color red. That would be these colors. And then we have movement powers, which are signified by blue. Now, what's unique about the obstacle powers is that they're continuous, so you can use them as much as you want during your turn. The blue colors, movement powers, they ignore the obstacles. However, you can only use them once. And the red grabbing powers, what's unique about them is you stay where you are, you just move things on the board correspondingly. Now, if you're thinking about whether or not you can remember all that, the game comes with a rule sheet. On one side of the rule sheet, we have how to play. On the other side of the rule sheet, we have the different powers, and they're all grouped in categories. There's 4 of these included in the game. Everyone gets one, so you'll easily be able to figure out what to do, how to play. And from our extensive play tests, we've seen that usually by the 2nd game, you don't even need it. You know what all of these powers do and how to best utilize them. So for the first person, he's looking at using, he's looking at a water obstacle in front of him and a villain obstacle to the side. Now, villain obstacles are defeated by super strength power. So with super strength, you want to go down here. You've now moved on to the robot. Then you want to use fly. And fly allows you to move diagonally. Now, let's say I move diagonally. How far do I want to go? From here, I can move, say, here. I have now saved this baby and I've landed on the fire spot. That is the end of my turn. It'll now be the yellow player's turn. So let's alternate to the yellow player's perspective. And let's generate some new cards for the power pool.
So we got 2, 6, so it goes in the fire over there. We can use telekinesis. Telekinesis is an ability which takes any column or row and moves it 1 column or row over. So we're going to use telekinesis to move this over. So all these babies get moved over. And then we have magnesis. Magnesis lets you pull any square, all the civilians on it, 1 row and 1 column closer to you. So I'm going to pick this one over here, 1 column and 1 row. So these 2 civilians are now saved.
Okay. So now it's the red player's turn again. There is only one baby left. So let's go ahead and spawn it. So 5-5, the fifth row in the fifth column, that's easy enough. Now this is red's perspective, so always look at the red base for red's perspective. Fifth row, fifth column, lands the baby right there. Now we want to use a pair of powers. In front of player red are meteors both here and here. So an obstacle power such as Mole's Claws will allow him to move in either of those spots, if you so choose. There is also other options. For example, there is time reversal and return to home. This ability will allow him to go backwards one spot. There's also toxic magnet. For this, we will go ahead and for demonstration, we'll use Mole's Claws and fire. Now, we'll use Mole's Claws to move forward one and rescue this civilian. And there's no fire near him, so we will just go ahead and not use that power.
So now that the wave of babies is over, we are on to the little boys. Little boys spawn 2 at a time, so we're actually going to roll the dice twice. Oh, that was bad. So we got 5, 6, so fifth row, sixth column. And then we roll again. 3, 3, so that's going to go right there into the crater. We're going to spawn 2 new cards as well. So we will use Fly and Biohazard passing ability. So Fly will fly over to this crater here, grab the boy. These aren't worth any extra points than the babies, they're still worth 1 point. And then we also can step forward motion into the Biohazard to get closer to more civilians.
Alright, again, we'll go ahead and start with spawning 2 civilians. 5-1. So fifth row, first column from red's perspective. And 5-4. So fifth row, fourth square, again from red's perspective. Now, if looking at the options, there is a villain in front of red, which has a civilian, and there is a biohazard in front of him as well. This will allow him to move into the biohazard, and this will allow him to move into the villain. That is not what we're going to do, though. We're going to use the double stretchy arms power. Now, stretchy arms allows you to grab, to stretch your arms out and grab from 2 squares anywhere adjacent to you. And because there's 2 stretchy arms, we can grab up to 4 squares. So red standing right here, this being the adjacent squares, he can go ahead and grab all 3 of these civilians.
One, 2. And 4-1. We did have an interesting ability up here, which is the rocket. Rocket allows you to go in a row or column all the way against the wall. So that looks like a great ability. And then there's also telekinesis. Telekinesis again moves the row or column over. So we're actually going to use telekinesis to first align all these civilians into one row, and then finally use rocket to collect all those civilians. So that was a very good turn, 6 civilians.
Alright, it's player red's turn again. 3-3, third row, third column. 2-6, second row, last column. Now there is no one around this time for red to collect, so red needs to go ahead and move as far as possible. So we'll go ahead and use the telekinesis super strength combination. The first thing we're going to do is use telekinesis to pick a row and move it closer. So we're going to go ahead and pick this column, and we're going to move it over one row. And then we're going to use the super strength power to move forward, the super strength power to move forward one and save the civilian.
So 5-1 will spawn a kid right there. And 4-4 spawns a kid, another kid in the water. Okay, we will use the super strength teleport, which is actually a redundant ability. So, super strength allows you to move through the super strength obstacle. Now, I'm actually next to a free space because the bases actually don't have any obstacles. So I could actually go to the next space for free without even consuming any abilities and come back to my base. I could have also used the teleport ability, but I had a great super strength ability to use anyways. And I could actually go into the bad guy's card again to just spot to get him closer.
Alright, player red's turn again. Let's start by spawning 6-3, 6th row, 3rd column, 1-2, 1st row, 2nd column. Now, for red, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate the time reversal teleport power. Time reversal actually allows you to go ahead and break the rules and go backwards. So left and up is now unlocked. We will go ahead and use left and up to go backwards and save these two children in the crater. And we will use teleport to go home as well. So red is now back to his home base.
One thing to note is you're not required to use both cards. Five, 2. 2-6. So we got 3 people on the fire now. And we will actually use the fly magnesis. So we will fly diagonally into this epicenter of 4 crying babies. Ooh, that was nice. And then we'll use magnesis to pull this kid in as well. They're all flying all over the place.
Okay, first let's spawn 2-2, 2nd row, 2nd column, and 2-4, 2nd row, 4th column. Now what's important to note is that as we spawn, we keep changing perspectives, so the meaning of the dice changes depending on who's using it. For red's turn, we're going to go ahead and use the double phase, which will allow us to go forward 2 spaces. So first red will move here, and then red will move there, and he will save these civilians along his way.
Four, 1. 3, 3. We will actually use the fly and mole's claws ability. So what that allows us to do is fly diagonally to the baby, or kid. And then Mole's Claws allows us to go into the crater. Now notice, we're both occupying the same square, and that's perfectly fine. So it's not hostile, we can both stay on the same square and continue on with the game.
Alright, so now we're down to the last two children, so let's go ahead and spawn them. 2, 4, second row, fourth column. And 2, 5, second row, fifth column. I think we'll go ahead and use the phase and the Toad Rider power. The phase power, which was used earlier, allows you to move forward through any obstacle. So we'll move through the villain obstacle. And then we'll use the water ability to move into the water and save this child. So now we're on to the girls, which are spawned 3 at a time.
So we got 5, 5. 6, 3. And 5, 4. Wait, that's actually 5, 5. 5, 4 is right there. So notice how a civilian was spawned right where my player was standing, so I get to collect the civilian automatically because it's my turn. If it wasn't my turn, then I'd have to wait and somebody else can actually take the civilian if they should choose. I will use the time reversal with the water. Water is not going to be used, but time reversal gets to be used in backwards motion to gather one civilian.
Player Red's turn again. We'll begin by spawning 6, 3, 6th row, third column, 6th row, third column again, and 6th row, 6th column. Now, we have a nice little epicenter right here, so I think we will go ahead and use the fire power. As we can see, player yellow is next to a crater, so we're going to go ahead and use this power just to take a crater and remove it as an option.
Six, 2. 6, 6. And 3, 6. So fortunately there's another Mole's Claws available, and there's a phase with it too, so we're actually going to use that ability. Mole's Claws allows us to go into the crater, free, move with the phase, and then we get to go to free space because there's actually no obstacle there. And on top of that we get to go back to the base and collect the other civilian there. But it actually doesn't stop there because this is a reusable power. So we can actually keep using it as long as there are craters next to us. So we actually get to go one more space.
Alright, player Red's turn again. 6, 1. So 6th row, first column. 4, 1, 4th row, first column. 5th row, 4th column. We're probably going to go ahead and use the Biohazard and Magnesis power. First we'll go ahead and use Magnesis power to pull this girl 1 row and 1 column over, therefore saving her. And then we'll go ahead and go into the Biohazard and save these 2 children.
4, 6.
Oh.
Okay. 5, 1. 4, 2. Alright. So there's a nice rocket which is perfectly in line with a lot of options. So we actually use that great ability. Rocket allows us to go up against the side. So we collect all these civilians. And then stretch your arms allows us to take 2 spaces of civilians, so we'll take these.
That's a good move.
It's a very good move.
Okay, player right's turn again. Second row, first column. Sixth row, fourth column. And third row, sixth column.
Wow, it's quite a little stack there.
So for player red's turn, we're going to go ahead and use the other rocket that's currently available. So we'll explode down here and rescue everyone. And then because I reached the end, I can automatically return home.
And what do you know? Another rocket. So we spawn the last of the girls. So we got 6, 6. 1, 2. And 5, 2. Now, this one spawned right where red is, but actually, as previously mentioned, red player does not grab that civilian until it's their turn. So there's an option for the yellow player to grab that. So we will actually do that. So there's another rocket that appeared. So we'll use the rocket to actually advance all the way across to the end and gather that civilian, along with these additional 4. Now, we also have water. And we can optionally decide to stay in this spot if we should so choose. And at the following turn, use that to come back to the original base. So, you know what? We'll actually stay there for now.
Now let's move back to player right's turn. There's no more young ladies. We're now going to spawn men. 5, 3. Fifth row, third column. 4, 6, fourth row, sixth column. 6, 5, sixth row, fifth column. And 4, 3, fourth row, third column. Well, there's not much to do, so I'm going to go ahead and use the villain teleport card. We'll go ahead and use the super strength to move through the villain obstacle, and we won't use the teleport because we were just there.
Five, 3. 5, 3. 1, 2. 5, 4. And that was it, right? So now would be a good time to actually teleporting back to use telekinesis. So we'll actually use telekinesis to move this column over. So these 3 come here. That comes there, there, there. And we won't make use of the teleport since we're already back at base.
Okay.
So notice how we ran out of cards. So we shuffle the rest of the cards that were in the discard deck and we start reusing them again.
So now it's player red's turn once again. 5, 6th. 5th row, 6th column. 3, 5. 3rd row, 5th column. 5, 3. 5th row, 3rd column. And 2, 6. 2nd row, last column. So we will go ahead and use the rocket power. So we'll go ahead and use the rocket and the fly. We will rocket to the end, collecting all these civilians. And we are no longer able to use fly. That's the drawback with rocket. You are left at the edge of the city, so an ability like fly cannot be used. There's nowhere further to go.
Six, 5, 6, 2, 4, 4, and 6, 4. And so last turn we used the telekinesis to align in case a rocket showed up, and lo and behold, a rocket showed up. So we will go as planned and use the rocket. So we will go all the way across in a forward motion. Collect 1, 2, 3, 4. Their main power is not able to be used because we are not next to any biohazard.
Player red's turn again. These are the last of the men. 3, 4, 3rd row, 4th column. 6th row, 2nd column. 3, 2, 3rd row, 2nd column. And 1, 1 back at home base for me. Alright, so now I think we'll go ahead and use the stretchy arm biohazard. There's no biohazard to use, but with stretchy arms we can grab along the perimeter. From red's perimeter, there's a guy here and there's a guy here. So we'll go ahead and grab those two.
And now we're on the grannies. So we spawn actually 5 at a time. So 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, some abilities, when they come in pairs, they don't offer you any paired bonus. But other abilities, as written on the reference card, do. One of those is magnesis. Double magnesis means you can take civilians from any square on the map and bring them to you all the way. So in this case, we notice that there's some squares that have 2 civilians on them, so we will actually use that power. So because that's a teleport base for red, we will actually maybe grab from there. So this allows us to grab these 2 and bring them over here and save them.
Alright, player red's turn again. 2, 5. 2nd row, 5th column.
That's 1.
3, 3.
That's the 2nd one.
2, 4.
The 3rd one.
1, 3.
Fourth one.
3-5.
And one.
Okay. Now for red, we're gonna go ahead and use the telekinesis and rocket. The first thing we'll do is we'll use the telekinesis power, and we're gonna take this row and slide it over. So we'll slide these grannies right over. And then we'll go ahead and use the rocket to go all the way through. Okay. Now, because red has reached the opposite corner, he can go back to his home base if he so chooses. We'll stay put for now.
So we got 2-2, 2-1, 4-5. Right there. Yep. 5-5. And 3-1. We will actually use double time reversal. So we get to go backwards 1 and again.
So there's only 5 grandmas left now. So after this, we just play until all the civilians have been rescued. 5-4, 5th row, 4th column. 6-5, 6th row, 5th column. 4-5, 4th row, 5th column. 4-6, 4th row, 6th column. And 4-5, 4th row, 5th column.
We don't need these anymore.
So for our turn, we're going to go ahead and use stretchy arm phase combo. Stretchy arms allows you to grab from 2 spaces in your perimeter. For red, these 3 grannies are in her perimeter, so we'll go ahead and grab this one and this one. Then, because he's here, he can automatically go home. And from here, we're going to go ahead and use phase to move forward 1 space. We'll move forward here and save this gentleman.
So in this case, I already went back 2, but there's actually another time reversal, so I couldn't make it to those 2 grannies. So I will use time reversal to go there, and phase to go forward.
Alright, so red's turn. We're going to go ahead and use the biohazard and magnet power. We'll use the biohazard to go forward. And then we'll use the magnet power to go ahead and grab this grandma in this crater.
We'll just use a plain old crater card with water to just walk into the crater.
Okay. I think we will go ahead and use the Rocket Man Stretchy Arms power. There is a nice little column arranged for our Rocket Man to go down like a rocket. And then we'll go ahead and use the Stretchy Arms power to rescue this civilian behind him and these 2 civilians in this adjacent square.
fire, water. So this one's interesting because we actually have fire, water, fire. So because these are reusable, we could actually go 3 spaces using only 2 cards.
So for Red's turn, we're going to go ahead and use the fire and Mole's Claw's power. We'll use this guy first to advance through the fire, and then we'll use Mole's Claws to advance into the crater, rescuing these 2 along our way.
Time reversal teleports instead.
Okay, now it is Red's turn. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and move into this free space and teleport home. Now we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and use Super Strength and Telekinesis power. We'll use the Super Strength to move down 1. I'll use Telekinesis to move this civilian up 1 square.
And for the grand conclusion of the game, Yellow will use Magnesis to grab those 2 civilians and finish the game. And with that, we're all done. Now we just count up the number of civilians we saved.
Yep, you count up the number of civilians, and whoever saved the most will win the game. So player Red has rescued 49, which means that player Yellow has won by 2. Thank you for watching our playthrough of City in Peril.